to Sabor Astrology with T and Shay, a podcast for the soul. We will be talking about how to balance life in alignment with the current cosmic energies. Without further ado, I would like to pass la taza, the cup, to T for the transits of this week. Welcome, T.
I am thinking about the transits, but I also want to mention that Sunday was the first time we met in person.
Yes.
After, I don't know how many, 10 years or something that we initially came in contact. And we knew each other, like we know each other, but we knew each other. And kind of it's like a past life. We're meeting again. That's how I feel. And relationships, we leave them in our lives and then we come back to them. And sometimes we refuse to come back to them. But obviously we loved each other and we decided to come back and to work together. So I'm really happy about that.
Me too. It was I just felt like I knew you. Like it just felt so familiar. And when I approached your table at the festival, I felt so like a past life situation where I'm like, I know T. Like I've seen her before. I've been around her energy before. So we're really excited to have met. And I'm like really excited for this podcast today. Like, what are we going to talk about? Like all these great transits and things are going to be coming up for us and some powerful things. So I'm excited.
Yes. And it's interesting because the week is going to be a very quiet week, except for the fact that there are so many happenings, so many cosmic events happening on June 11th, which is a Sunday. So so we'll go from Wednesday to Wednesday. And the first one we're going to talk about today is Pluto entering Capricorn. So Pluto enters Capricorn on the 11th, and it stays there until the 21st of 2024. And my thinking about Pluto entering Capricorn, that, Pluto is one of the slowest moving planets. It's more about the macro level than the individual. Of course, what's happening on the macro level does affect us on the micro level. But I'm thinking about Pluto when we think about the positive aspects of it. It's having courage, it's being a risk taker, it's about having passion, about, sexuality and all those good things, right? But then when you look at the other more negative aspects of, and I hate to use negative, but, life is polar. There are many, many different polar things that, we just compare and contrast. So, some of those are dominance, ruthlessness. I want to get what I'm going to get in terms of, transformation and in terms of making things happen. So, and it enters Capricorn, and Capricorn is the planner, right? Capricorn is methodical. Capricorn is stealth, is the way I look at Capricorn. And so I'm thinking about what's going on in the macro system, in terms of wars, politics, unrest, and what does that do to us, as individuals? So that's something just to be aware of, and Pluto does rule Scorpio in the 8th house, and it's about death and transformation and about rebirth. So people are going to be affected. We are going to be affected, whether it's, people in the Ukraine, people in the Middle East. There's just so many areas to look at, ourselves here in the US. Are being affected, are, like my way or the highway. What I want to happen, I'm going to, stride over your rights. And it's something that we need to be aware of. And what I'm hearing is that it's not only in the US, it's in other countries too, about, the marginalized becoming even more marginalized, and the, women losing our rights, just, right and left. And so I think that those are the things that I want to be looking at, not that I'm going to be terrified as the individual Teresa Varela. I'm going to be aware of it, to know how to treat my fellow person, to be involved in my political life, and just to be aware, just to know that this is happening up in the skies, and we're seeing it. We've been seeing it already down here on Earth, planet Earth. So
Absolutely.
take it away, Shay.
With Capricorn, as you were speaking, T, I was thinking about the feminine. Capricorn is it's a feminine energy, how women are developing, or people that identify with more their feminine side. So there might be some transformation there for us collectively. Capricorn is also kind of like the boss lady, the boss person, and it's going to ask, how are we building ourselves in this world, with that Pluto in Capricorn?
Definitely, we've been mobilized because of so many events that have happened within this last year. And as women, we don't want to go backwards. We need to continue going forward. A lot of women have done a lot of work over the centuries to get us where we are today. So yeah, definitely. So the next ingress is Mercury enters Gemini, and that is on the 11th as well, and that will last until June 26th. So Mercury owns Gemini. That's their hood, right? Mercury's coming back, arms raised, and Mercury's in his hometown. He has his brothers, he has his sisters there. He's very comfortable in there. And he's ready to tell the story about being in Taurus, about what happened in Taurus. So think about that in terms of, I guess, your last few months and like what has occurred there, and in your own home of Taurus. And where are you going to go with that now in terms of vocalization, in terms of verbalization, in where you're moving toward. I think this is another way of looking at where am I moving, who am I going to speak to about that in my neighborhood, with my siblings, with my friends, and get those thoughts across. This is all happening in the 11th house, which is about community, friendships, groups, clubs. How is that going to benefit you? What have you done in the last few months that you want to continue growing? Because, Taurus is about growth, it's about stability. And then we're now in Gemini, which is about speaking it out into the universes. If you have any issues, air them out. This is, Mercury's the one to do that. Mercury is fast moving, right? Is the incarnation of Hermes, of Mercury, which is the wisdom keeper, which is the hermit, which is the one who has, all the knowledge. And use him, talk to him, go again deep. That's where I think that we would find Taurus, where we would find it moving into Gemini. And so when you talk to Mercury, when you sit in your meditation, ask them to appraise what it is that you think you desire, what you have built, what you think that you desire, and about its manifestation. Is this the correct thing? Is this going to be for my benefit and for the benefit of those around me? It's really interesting that today I'm getting very much the vibe and the energies of, I'm not just in this alone. I have to think about my fellow man with this, and my fellow woman, right? It's so much bigger than just me as one being on this earth.
Yeah. And I love that, T. And it's a great segue to kind of talk about the strength that Mercury has in Gemini. Like, it's so powerful. It's almost like you're giving Gemini a hammock and some really good, juicy things around them, right? To feel comfortable. Again, it's in domicile, like T had mentioned. And what I'm getting is for people to stay connected, surround yourself with books, literature. If there's also any projects about technology that you're thinking about, maybe collectively, because we 11th house technology, or you want to market something in your life, this is the great time and space to do it from June 11th to June 26th. So using these weeks to market your technology, focus and stay connected to books and literature that bring you that essence of being in a hammock, feeling connected, feeling very grounded in that way. Because with Gemini being this air sign, it could be a little bit in the air, floaty, but if we work with it in a way that's practical, we can find ways to ground it and work with it in good and in for our highest good. So I think Gemini here is bringing that essence of strength for us, and play as well. Because Gemini, all my Geminis, they're all playful, lovely people, want to share information, want to learn information, and they gather great information to share with the world. So this is also a good opportunity. If you're a Gemini sun or rising or moon, work with these, with your own energy, with speaking up and expressing yourself and sharing with others, in that 11th house, in that collective world. And you'll find yourself really feeling connected even more to your body, connected more to your community. Yeah, so this is going to be great, because with that Gemini there, we're set to really speak, and it's going to give us that power.
Yeah, I keep hearing the thought about health. Take care of your health, right? As you build, as you talk about uncoiling, right? Go in there, go deep, and take care of your the layers of your body, the aspects of your body.
Absolutely.
So the next one is aspect is Mercury trining Pluto, and that's also happening on June 11th. And but as I said during the last podcast, that we can feel transits before and we'll feel them afterwards. It's not that it's just going to be on June 11th that one day. It is something that will last for a while. So this was an interesting one, because when I was thinking about this, I just saw a movie in front of me. The movie was The Wizard of Oz, and I thought,
love that.
Isn't that like wild? So it was Glinda came into my movie in my head, and she was in her big pink bubble, and she was she's like the epitome of good, of talking things through, and that she was really pitted against the Wicked Witch of the West, who is like ornery, who is evil, who is ruthless. So this is what I'm getting between Mercury and Pluto. So it's like talking it through, that this is all about power and control, which is again reminiscent of this whole Pluto entering Capricorn, and my viewpoint, the way I read the transits. So the whole of Oz was affected, right? It wasn't just Dorothy and the Munchkins, it was everybody, those who came in, and the travelers that came, and those that actually lived there. I mean, the house ended up on the one of the witches there. So, and the Wicked Witch used her words, right? Mercury, she used her words to scare people, and those gestures, right? It was like, oh my God, it was like, that was scary enough. She didn't have to do anything. She just had to look, and we were afraid. So think about that, and think about, again, that polarity, the paradox, it's like on both sides, the polarity. So the thing that I do want to end with was that, Glinda reminded Dorothy that she had the power within her all along. All right. So that as we uncoil, as we get to know ourselves, remember that we have the power inside of us, and that we're in control, and that we do not have to conquer others in order to get what it is that we need, right? We can still be ourselves. Like they say on social media, life isn't a pie. It's not like if I get a bigger piece of pie, you can't. It's like we all get pie, right? If we look at it that way, it depends on how we look at it. And so what I'm seeing is if there's any anxiety, if there's any fright around this time of June 11th on an individual basis, just like take your hands and hold them against your abdomen, and remind yourself that you have all the power that you need inside, and that you'll be okay. That sounds so trite, but if you can just take a minute to take a deep breath and say, you know what, this is going to be okay. This is not permanent. This is only a temporary situation. that it'll be most helpful. So that's what I have for that.
I love that, to start to think about how to work with this powerful placement. It's interesting because when T was talking about the Wizard of Oz, how the Wicked Witch say all these mean things, the reason why she said all these things is because she was hurt, she was rejected. And that's the Pluto dynamic here. Some of us might feel hurt and rejected. So what part of us are we feeling rejected, or what part of us do we find ourselves triggered and upset about? That's the Pluto effect with Mercury. So working through that, noticing the patterns and working through it, again, journaling and practice breathing through it would also help. And working through it, because this is an air sign, so carrying these things out and grounding them. I always say grounding because it's like my moon in Taurus. Let's ground in many different ways, but this is one way. There might be also this opportunity with this trine for any influential speaking. I mean, this goes hand in hand. Like if you want to really influence positively a group of people, your family, even yourself, this is a good time to sit down with it and write it down and practice it. Okay, because it's going to amplify, but that Pluto is going to give you that space, and you might even find yourself finding some pockets of talent there as well, because that trine is giving talent. In order to enhance this placement and enhance yourself is working with stones. So I got for all of us to work with blue stones. It could be turquoise, lapis lazuli, or any blue stone that you feel called to work with to help us move energy out. So we can wear it in form of a necklace, bracelet, rings, but I recommend something that's closer to the throat chakra or the heart space to activate that for us.
Okay. I love that. I'm trying to think in my head what stones I can wear. Thank you for that.
Yes.
And then the final aspect that we're going to talk about today, which is again on the 11th, is Venus squaring Jupiter. And we've talked about Venus. Venus is about affection. She's about love. She represents self-worth and value, and not only about possessions and our material lives, but about who we believe we are, as people. And she's in the 12th house, which is about the hidden, the unconscious, about all those things, all those areas that are really hidden and not overtly shown to the world. So, and she's also in Leo, which to me says she's showing her saucy side here. So she talks to Jupiter, who's still in Taurus, and he's in the 9th house. He's talking his talk, right? And it's so interesting how I got all these like stories about these people, but I guess it's because I'm a storyteller, right? So she says, okay, Jupiter, so you're talking your talk, but like, what are you doing? And he could get very comfortable in there. Jupiter rules Sagittarius. He can do things very swiftly just by throwing a thought out into the universe. And I always think about an arrow tipped with flame, right? This is him. This is what he can do. But where he is right now, he's been comfortable. He's been comfortable. But she rules, right? Because she was in Taurus and she rules Taurus. And I mean, not that she was there, but that she rules it. It is her home. So she can, she knows what's going on. So Jupiter can get a little bit distracted. He can get a little bit, I'm going to use the word lazy, only because he has all the tools. So he has the matches here. He has the arrows there, but he just maybe needs a little bit of motivation in order to actually light it and to do it, because he already knows he can do it, right? So she goes over to him and she, in her most saucy and sexy way, talks to Jupiter, and he lifts his head up and he listens to her. And she, you can confront in a nice manner. You can confront in a, going to use the word sexy manner. I mean, it doesn't have to be sexy, but it's my connotation of that, right? You don't have to be ruthless, and just use your women's ways. Again, we're talking about women's ways, and asks him to do that, and he lifts up from those comfy cushions, and he gets to work, and something beautiful happens, and what has been hidden now comes to a glittering light, and it's really beautiful. So that square, if we work it correctly, can be something that is done positively, and it's done with beautiful, beautiful energies.
Absolutely. I love that, T. You bring in such a beautiful, like, I could just imagine them two being like glistening, right? And especially with Venus and Leo, like super glamour and glitz, trying to talk to Jupiter and Taurus. I mean, Jupiter has been through a lot in the past weeks. I mean, he's been squared, opposed, like there's a lot that Jupiter has been experiencing, but with a benefic like Jupiter and Venus, though they're rubbing, like think about a square as rubbing elbows. But with the case of these two benefics with Jupiter and Venus, it's more like they're like making fun of each other to understand each other through that humor. Because this is about like, it's almost like, what are we doing with our money? What are you really putting out there too? Like it's those things that are about material possessions as well, because with Venus and Leo, and then we have Jupiter and Taurus. So they're, rubbing a little bit against each other, but in a funny way, because they both are benefic. So that square is not as charged as if they were like a benefic and a malefic planet together. And so they're speaking about like, what are you going to do about this type of work, right? Because we have, if it's square, we have Jupiter in the 10th in Taurus. So it's just like, what are we going to do about work? Well, how are we going to be making money? You're not doing anything, Venus. Let's get it together, Venus. Let's present this. Don't be afraid. Let's see the possibilities. Because it's like Jupiter's like the older man with like the long beard, and he's like big and funny looking and cute too. And then we have Venus like and Leo, she's like, oh well, I don't want to do much, because she's in the 12th house. I would just want to lay down a little bit. Jupiter's like, no, let's go. And then the banter starts, or the confrontation, but it's not heavy, because that two benefics coming together is not as tight of a square, but they're still trying to see eye to eye as well, and compromise as well, with work life, career, and also like the mystical part of it, like getting out of the hidden. Sometimes there are points in our lives where we're tired, we kind of shut the blinds and then we lay down. Jupiter's like, let's see the sun coming up, in the morning. Let's wake up at 6 o'clock. Let's get this rolling. Venus needs that encouragement from Jupiter, because she's in Leo. So we got to spice it up, get all glitz and beautiful and glimmer like the sun. And it's beautiful, beautiful placement.
I love that. So good. So what will you, any events or anything you'll be doing the next week?
Yes. So on June 9th, I'm collaborating with Dr. Emily C. from Emily Grace Acupuncture. She's going to be offering free ear seed treatments. I offer $20 readings. So I'll be doing mini readings there as well. This will be again June 9th, Friday, June 9th from 2 to 4 p.m. And this is in Chinatown. Feel free to reach out. All the links are in the description box as well. And then on June 11th, once again, I will be offering a free event. It's online, and I will be dedicating 10 minutes of sound healing or guided meditation to rest the mind during this Gemini season and to honor Gemini season.
That sounds great. And for myself, on June 10th, the Saturday, right before all of these happenings on the 11th, I'll be at the Passaic, New Jersey Book Festival. So I'll have my books there for sale, and there'll be a lot of other authors, which is going to be really great. And there are many, many workshops. There are children's events that are going to be happening. And I will be on a panel from 1:30 to 2:15 on Beyond Clues and Suspects, The Art of Mystery Writing panel. So I hope to see you
Oh,
there.
I love that.
Yeah. It's online, but I'll also put it on my website, teresavarela.com. If anyone is interested in coming out, I'll be very happy to see you.
Yes, we were happy to have you and to work with you in this process.
So thank you for spending the time with us. And we'd like to say until next week, and con mucho Sabor Astrology.
Thank you everyone for tuning in to Sabor Astrology with T and Shay. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and we will see you on the next one.